Okay, this is the second part of a video on how to use multiple methods to contextualize or to come up with these quadratic functions and solutions. In the previous video, we talked about how to use a table to solve for solutions. We talked about how to use a graph and how to factor. And in this one, on this page, the next thing up for us is how to use a quadratic formula. Now, we've kind of beat this to death, so I'm only going to do one of them here. And I should tell you that, I don't know, for some reason, this didn't come out quite right on my notes here, so I don't know if it came out right on yours, but here's the quadratic formula, just in case you don't have it. Now, I am going to go ahead and skip that one, just because down here I've kind of read ahead. And notice they're going to say, solve that function using factoring or the quadratic formula. So let's go ahead and do the quadratic formula first, and we'll do it in this blank up here. If you do want to use this one, I apologize. I just think you guys have had tons of quadratic formula practice so far, so I don't want to make you watch something that you might already know how to do. But again, to even get started, you have to take this function and move the 2 over so that your function is x squared minus 5x plus 6 equal to 0. So if that's what you have, x squared minus 5x, x squared minus 5x plus 6, x squared minus 5x plus 6 equal to 0. If you did want to use a quadratic formula, and again, I'm just making sure I have my formula right here. Again, I apologize for not doing this one, but you do this one the same way. What I would do is just start plugging in A, B, and C. And in this case, remember, this is your A, this is your B, and this would be your C. And notice there's a 1 here that nobody writes. So if I'm using, again, I'm not doing this one, I'm doing the one on the next page. I only came up here for room reasons, but the opposite of B, right here, if I start there, the opposite of B, or negative, the negative is 5. So you're going to have 5 plus or minus the square root of that negative 5 squared minus 4 times the A times the C, which is 6. And I apologize if you hear my son in the background. He's excited to play baseball for the first time. So that's what you hear him yelling. He's excited to go practice. And let's just keep cranking on this puppy to see what we can come up with. Notice it's an approximation because I'm going to have some decimals left over, but don't forget the plus or minus. And underneath the radical sign, 25, because minus 5 times minus 5 is 25, minus 24, because minus 4 times 6 is negative 24, all over 2. And let's keep going up here. So we're going to have 5 plus or minus the square root of 1 over 2, or 5 plus or minus 1 over 2. Now don't forget, when you're doing this quadratic formula, it will give you 2 possible solutions. They could either both work, one can work, or maybe none of them work, depending on if they're extraneous, which just means it doesn't make sense in the context of the problem. So your x can either equal 5 plus 1 over 2, or x is going to equal 5 minus 1 over 2. And if you simplify this out, 6 over 2 should be 3. 5 minus 1, what is that, 4 over 2, or 2. So those are your solutions using the quadratic formula. And the reason I wanted to do it that way was that so when we come down here, notice 3 and 2 are the solutions. In this group problem, if I do it by factoring, x, was it minus 2 and x plus 3, if I factor that thing out, you, excuse me, you should get the same answer. So x minus 2 equals 0, or x plus 3 equals 0. And x is going to equal 2, or x is going to equal negative 3. Notice, same answer, different method. And really, as we move forward here, it won't matter which way you do it, okay? So really do it any way you see fit. There's another problem here for the quadratic formula, and I'm just going to assume that you guys can do it. Again, I know you've had 2 or 3 assignments on this already, so if you need help with that, I'm sorry, not that one. We're going to do that one now. If you need any more help with the quadratic formula, come see me or come talk to me, talk to a classmate or something. Okay? Let's see. If I wanted to do this problem using my calculator's graphing ability, you could, in other words, you want to see when this quadratic function equals 20. All you need to do, now notice now we're using technology. Let me write that down somewhere too so I can do this seamlessly. But my function is minus 12x squared plus 25x plus 8. And I want to figure out when that thing's equal to 20. Now, go ahead and get out your calculator. And I'll see if I can share mine as well. My computer doesn't like me at the moment. I don't know what it's doing. But let's go ahead and try to get the calculator function going here. And if I go ahead and hit y equals, plug in that first function. So it should be negative 12x squared plus 25x. Oh, I think it was plus 8. Is that the correct value? Can't even read my own writing. And the next one should be 20. Now, I haven't done this before, so my graph might look kind of crazy, but let's graph those. If you need more time, just pause the video. But if I graph them, oh, there's one, but I don't see the 20. So all that means, and notice you could pull this apart, play with your window a little bit. And that's my standard viewing window. So if I needed to go up, not to 20, but let's look all the way past 30. Again, for my y values, I want a little bit of a cushion. And then even for the x values, I don't need to go all the way out to 10. Maybe go out to 5 and count by halves or 0.5s. Now again, I'm guessing. Let's see. Well, that doesn't even look good at all, does it? So the only thing I can do, let's go check back and make sure that's my function and everything's included and shared correctly, because I think there's a moral to this story. But before we get there, I'm going to go check because there's no crossings. So minus 12x squared plus 25x plus 8 and equals 20. So we got it all straight. But if you're looking at this function in this case, they never cross. And again, I'm double checking everything. Minus 12x squared plus 12x. Oh, I got it wrong. There's my mistake. But let's, before I change this, let's talk about what happens. Now, I made a mistake in entering the problem, so I put a 12 instead of a 25. If this were the case, there would be no solution. Or when you did the quadratic function, it would yield negative i's in your answers, or you'd have square root of negative something or imaginary numbers. So this is a scenario where you don't have any crossings. And we kind of did it on accident, and it still might happen if I put a 25 in here. Let's see. But again, re-watch that part. There are times where you can say no solution if this 12 was supposed to be there. Now again, I just found a mistake on accident here. So I'm human, I make mistakes. And you're going to find that you do too. Put that in, see if you have any difference. Ah, now there's some crossings. But again, don't forget, sometimes no solution is possible. Now, if you wanted to find the intersection of this thing, and I'd like to kind of look at it a little bit more closely, you can zoom in or zoom out, but that should be good enough. Second, calculate intersection once I have my formula right? And let's see where my little bug is. Because you want to be close to your first point of, there it is. So that's closest to the left intersection. So if I hit enter 3 times, 1, 2, 3, that intersection is 0.75. So there's one solution. And let's do it one more time. Second, calculate for the other intersection, and then those will be my two solutions. But again, I have to go over towards where I'm more interested. I'm more interested on the right side this time. Hit enter 3 times. So I have 0.75, and the other one was 1.33. So go ahead and even go back. Let me encourage you to view my mistake and check out what happens when there's no solutions, because that's what stuff looks like too. It's okay to mess up sometimes. Sometimes we learn more from our screw-ups than we do from getting things right. So there's my two solutions. we can go ahead and go back now, I hope. And notice there's the correct function. It says by using your graphing calculator's utility, we did that. So x is going to approximately be 0.75, or x is going to approximately be, oh, what do we say, 1.33? I think those are the two solutions, right? And you could give a rough sketch of what we did, right? Something like that. And if you needed to look again, all you have to do is go back, either in the video or on your calculator, okay? So if that's what we're looking at, you had a graph that looks something, let me see if I get my pen working here, something like that. And I'll please ask you to be neater than me, but I'm trying to write small on a computer screen here. Okay? So no matter if you're asked to use the quadratic formula, like up here, you could use this and use technology and just set this equal to 18 as well. So you'll still get 3 and 2 for your answers. So there are multiple methods we've talked about over the course of the semester. Even number 6, if you want to use your quadratic formula to solve that, you can. Maybe we can do the graphing utility on our calculator one more time. So if we're going to do that one, actually, you know what, we'll just stop there and I'll do 2 and 3 in the next video. So anyways, hopefully that helps, and one more video coming.